Hey, hey, hey! If you are observant, you know that this is the same outfit that I wore in my last video. That was a Snickerdoodle that's email. Um, yeah, basically what happened is I sat down to record my uh email version of my email, my audio video version of my email for Full Circle Entrepreneurship, and then I decided to go ahead and do the one for Snickerdoodle Knits here with the Montana collection because we just went to Montana, and I pulled out my North Carolina collection. Items too, and Minnie is still sleeping. And rather than figuring out how I'm going to actually you know, tie this up with a bow with, tie those up with a bow, those recordings, and get them onto the internet and send whatever I'm doing an email. I'm gonna record another video. So, if you missed the last video, I can go ahead and link it down in the description. Um, I am sharing this both on my YouTube channel and in my email list. So I know that not everybody has all of the same information, especially like the YouTube people, whether they're followers or not. If they're not on the email list, they probably don't know quite as much about what I typically share in my emails. So, and if that's you, you can, I'll put the link so you can join the email list too. So last week we talked about the Montana collection of patterns, which is called My Forever Home. It was a whole part of a whole series. I go into more depth in the past video, so you can go ahead and go watch it if you haven't seen it. But um, the whole series is around this idea of longing for a sense of belonging, wanting to really find a place that feels like home, that feels right. And Montana, while it is going home for me, like when I go home, when I go see my family, is going home. Like Montana's home, it's my forever home. But it's not home in the sense of like that's where I feel like I belong. And I never felt that sense until we moved to North Carolina in 2019, which is crazy. 6 years ago now, which means I have been designing patterns now for a little over 6 years. Um, anyway, first like felt that feeling moving here. Like even though we didn't like know the state at all, we didn't know people here at all, just felt right to be here. It just felt like we belonged here. I belonged here. Um, I don't know if my partner had the same feelings of not feeling like he belonged, but anyway, um, yeah, so I want to share with you my North Carolina collection because, we went to Montana and then we come back and now we're back home and it just like, it feels right. And so that's what the North Carolina collection is all about. It's called A New Home. It's finding your place where you belong. And um, some of us are lucky enough to have that feeling, and some of us have a longing to find that feeling. And sometimes maybe it's a temporary feeling, whatever it is, just know that I see you. And yeah, okay. Um, so let's see. The whole thing with these collections is that there's a whole ton of symbolism packed in that I'm not even going into these videos. You can find actually the design overview videos for these patterns on my YouTube channel if you want. Um, so there's like symbolism in all of the colors and all of the textures and all of the things. Um, but the whole goal was to highlight kind of the things that feel most important to me about both of these states. Um, so like for Montana, it was extremely heavy. Well, it's all like physical landscape kind of things. So we had the farm, we had the mountains, we had the snow, we had the prairies, we had cabins in the woods. Um, North Carolina, a big part for me, we moved to Charlotte. So coming from Montana and Wyoming, which is Wyoming's where I went to college, and then we did live and work in Colorado, in Denver, for a couple of summers. And I studied abroad in a large city where there's like 12 million people. Anyway, so like it wasn't my first time being in big city, living in a big city, but it was first time kind of putting down roots in a larger city. And so for me, a big difference between North Carolina and Montana is the fact that we have cities to start with, but then also just like living in the city life being part of everyday life. So, um, this is the Hustle and Bustle hat. So this is the original hat that I designed it in. Um, and I acknowledge you can't really see the texture that well. That was kind of part of the point. It's like all hustle, bustle, busy, a lot going on. And I think this colorway shows that really well. Shoop. Um, the reflection is so weird. Okay. Um, So that's part of the point is that like when you have like these really colorful, fun skeins of yarn, but you don't want to just do stockinette, maybe because you're like me at this point in my life where it was like stockinette just kind of put me to sleep. It was really boring and I wanted a little bit of excitement, something to do. This phase of my life where I'm at now, stockinette would probably be my better bet because I don't have uh as much ability to sit and focus, although knitting in general doesn't really go well. I'm obviously still fiddling with this because it's not it's right. Ah, is that better? A little bit. So yeah, where I'm at now in life. I have an almost 1 year old. Oh my goodness, he's growing up so much. So cute. Anyway, um, as I was saying, uh yeah, I don't have as much ability to sit and focus. But also, I don't really have much ability to sit and knit, period. So, if I pull something out, he wants to be in on it, doing it himself. And I've had people who are like, oh, well, can't you just give him his own yarn and let him play with it? Yeah, that works for like 3.25 seconds. And then he wants mine because mine is obviously cooler. So, um, anyway, that's part of why there's not a whole lot of knitting going on these days. I tried, here, where is it at? Because I just had it here. Oh, I'm gonna grab it. This is totally a tangent from what we're talking about. Um, so uh I made him a caterpillar, crocheted him a caterpillar before he was born. Minnie, that's who we're talking about. This is what the caterpillar is supposed to look like. I am not a crocheter, and it's not quite that even, but you know, it's that. He did just pull out the safety eyes the other day, so there's that. Now the caterpillar doesn't have eyes, but before it also, well, it still doesn't have any legs or the little antenna thingies. So, few weeks ago, I decided, okay, like this is really simple, small project. Like we can do this, right? He can play with the yarn, like it's fine. Like it'll be fast and easy. Yeah, yeah. So, um, this is as far as I got. We have the two antenna. We do not have any of the legs, but I think I did these right. I think so. I followed the video the whole time. So the little antenna. Poop, poop. Am I going to turn into a knitting podcast? No, I'm not because I don't have enough knitting content to share. I don't knit often enough to do that. Anyway, um, so yep. Um, I guess this is also part of the disadvantage of me recording 3 videos in a row and never having anyone to talk to about all this stuff because now I'm just gonna ramble all the things. In case you didn't know, um, I most likely have ADHD. Like my therapist told me, yeah, you most likely do. So that might explain a few things. So this is the Hustle and Bustle hat. There is like a slight texture going on. It's like meant to look random. So it's like all the people randomly going every which way in the city. I promise I'll make the other designs will be faster. I won't ramble this much the whole video long. Um, but maybe you can see a little bit better here on the solid. I don't have the sample because the yarn dyer has the sample. I knit it for her, but I have a sample that's in blue and it shows it so much better. Um, if I feel like I actually have time and Minnie isn't all over me by the time I'm recording this. Um, maybe I'll pop in a photo here. But otherwise you can go to the pattern listing. So yeah, it's just a simple hat. It's in child to adult, like all of my hats. Um, you can have it a little bit more slouchy if you want. You can, and obviously you can adjust the length. All of my patterns, I'm like, hey, here's how you adjust it. So yeah, that is Hustle and Bustle Hat. Then we have, well, big thing, like when we moved out here, when we drove out here, it's like you get to this point in the middle of the country where suddenly you go from like prairie and farmland into trees, and then everything else is just trees for the rest of the country. I can't say if that's true all the way up north and south, but that was definitely our experience. And I think from what I've learned more about landscape since then, I think that's pretty kind of universal throughout the country, north to south. So anyway, I want to say it was like Kansas City, Missouri area that changed. Um, but that is to say, there are lots of trees around here. And that's part of what I love about Charlotte is that it doesn't feel as city-y as some of like the West Coast cities because there are so many trees. Like the interstate that circles the city that we primarily use, um, there are trees all around the interstate. Um, you can't really see the city that well. You can't see that there's tons of houses and subdivisions just on the other side of the trees. But then there's also obviously lots of just forests. So the woods, the forests are a big part of North Carolina, in my opinion. And I need to hurry up this video because we need to leave in less than 20 minutes, which means I need to make sure a kid is awake and ready to go to the library. So this is the in the woods, into the woods, endless woods cowl is what it's called. Um, and so down here we have cables that represent the roots of the trees. I feel like this camera quality is terrible. Um, and then up here we have tree motifs. I'll take it off. There, you can see that better. So there's like 7, maybe more different tree motifs in the pattern, and you can choose to do your forest all the same, or you can choose to do your forest a whole different combination of trees. That is totally up to you. Here's, yeah, you still can't see it that well on here. The cables down here. So super cozy. This is all of these patterns are fingering weight. This pattern is fingering weight plus mohair. So it's just so cozy. It has the I-cord bind off and the I-cord cast on just to make it more polished. So this is the medium size, I believe, and this is the large size. Can we see the whoops? Ah, trying to see if you can see the cables better here for the roots, but maybe not. There we go. I can show you what that looks like real quick in that size too. Um, so that is pattern number 2. Number 3, we have the ocean. I have always been a big fan of the ocean, even though, I technically saw it when I was 4 or 5. Did not remember it though, and didn't see it until I was like almost graduated from high school. Anyway, in person, obviously. I'd seen photos of it, and so we're not that sheltered in Montana. Um, anyway, so yeah, I love the ocean. So that's what the next design is gonna be about. But real quick, this is what that large size looks like. And just like I mentioned in the last video, well, almost all of my cowl designs are tapered, so the top is skinnier than the bottom, so that it lays out nice and beautiful, and it's not just like this clunky rectangle sitting on your body. Okay, so we have the ocean with the waves, and so that's what, actually I want to put this one on this hand instead because I've got a watch to cover up here. Don't want it to be in the way of the cuff. Okay, so um this is the Along the Shores Fingerless Mitts. It starts with herringbone, which I absolutely love the look of, and I think it's fun to knit. It is a little bit more tedious and time consuming, which is why I do have just a plain ribbing option in there. This is the watch I was talking about. I didn't want it to mess up the look of this, because you probably know what ribbing looks like. Yeah, so that is, like the fish, obviously. Um, in the ocean. And then we have the sandy beaches that are just stockinette. And then we have the waves. It's just a wave texture, which again, the quality of this video, I'm sorry, you can't see it that well. But if, well, okay, if you get the email, I'll make sure that the photos are in the email. If you're not on my email list, I will make sure that's linked down below the description. If I forget to link anything, just comment and let me know, okay? Because like I record this and then it will be several hours until the next nap time when I'm able to edit it, and then it might be, hours or days before I get it captioned and everything, and get it posted. So, well, and actually this video will be at least a week out because before it's posted, because I recorded the Montana one today too. So yeah, that's the Along the Shores mitts. Um, and then last but not least are the socks, my only sock pattern actually. Um, and these are currently clipped together, so they stay together. This is the shorty version. I should show you the real version first. Ah. So this is still leaning into the woods, but specifically the autumns. The autumn season is so beautiful here. I used to kind of hate autumn because it meant snow was starting and it was getting cold and all that stuff in Montana. But now autumn is so beautiful. It's like in North Carolina, it's like it starts cooling down a little bit, and then there's all of the leaves and all of the turning colors, and it's just gorgeous. So, these are the autumnal socks. So here we have those trees as they're losing their leaves. So it's just the same tree motif 3 times on top of each other. I think it's just somehow the way that it's been folded. It looks cattywampus, but it is lined up correctly. It just didn't get folded symmetrically. So that runs up the flag from just above the heel up the calf. And then you can end it here, here, or here, depending on what height you want for your calf. Personally, I like shorties, so that's why I also have a shorty version. But this is a main character here in the sock pattern. Um, and yes, if you work this in a not stripy yarn, or a not multicolored yarn, you'll be able to see your design a little bit better. And then here we have an offset design. These are leaves. It looks like cables, it's not cables. No cable needle needed. It's actually pretty simple, especially if you know how to work increases and decreases. Um, so, and this is designed, all of my patterns in general are designed so that like if it's your first time making that kind of thing, it's not intimidating. Like you can totally do it as a first time pattern. So this especially though is like I outlined for beginners, and it's also laid out if you're a 2 at a time sock knitter, great for those folks. even though the left sock and the right sock are different. I'll show you in a second. So yeah, this runs from just below the toe here or above the toe, based on how we're looking at it here, all the way up to the top of the sock. So that is what you see in the anklet version. Um, is we just have that motif because we don't have anything up above the heel for that tree motif. So we get those leaves. So here you can see that they are, offset to the side, and it's meant to be the outsides of your feet. So your right foot and your left foot are different. And that then means that in the higher sock heights, which also these socks are like so customizable. I have so many instructions in the pattern about like, all right, if you to get the perfect length for your foot, this is what you do. To get the perfect height for your sock, this is what you do. There's like customizations for there's three different heels, three different, I think there's or maybe there's two different heels, two different toes, and then uh, customization for foot length and sock height here. So anyway, um, yeah, I think what I was trying to say is that then these trees, they run up the inside of your leg. So the trees are inside and the leaves are outside here. So that is why the left versus right sock is important. And that is the North Carolina collection titled the A New Home collection. That's part of the Finding Sense of Belonging or Sense of Belonging series. And as with all of my collections, if you like all of the patterns, you can purchase them as a bundled collection for 15% off. Um, so I'm just trying to gather all of the patterns here again, or all of the samples again. We have Autumnal Socks, Along the Shores Mitts, Hustle and Bustle Hat, and the Endless Woods Cowl. All fingering weight because this is a warmer climate than Montana. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me. I'll figure out the question and the joke after this. So it's not in the video, it's in the email instead. And yeah, I still don't know your response to how you felt about this format last time. So hopefully you're enjoying it. I know I'm rambly, and now I have 8 minutes to get my child awake and do the library for our painting event. So bye bye. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you again soon.